Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to learn how to play Critters at War, Flies, Lies, and Supplies. This is going to be designed by John Perry and published by Arcane Wonders. This game is going to be about going over multiple rounds, trying to gain control of 2 or 3 theaters to get victory points, and get 12 victory points to secure your win. You can also do this by getting your opponent to withdraw in rounds and getting lesser points, but you want to have them stick it out and win that round to get the most 6 points. And go for the 12 points to win the game. Let's go ahead down to the table here. I'm going to show you how to play Critters at War, Flies, Lies, and Supplies. Alright, so this is going to be Critters at War, Flies, Lies, and Supplies. And this game is going to be a follow-up to Critters at War, Air, Land, and Sea. And this is going to be standalone. However, you can mix it with the base game there to have a normal mode and an epic mode, which we'll go over in a little bit here. To set up the game, you're going to put out these supply tokens so everyone can reach them. And these victory point tokens, which you're going to need to win the game. You'll place those out so everyone can reach them. Then you'll shuffle up and place out these 3 theaters. They'll be economics, diplomacy, and intelligence. We're not playing with the epic mode right now because you'll need the base game to do that. So we're going to set that aside. And then we're going to take this first player and second player card. We'll shuffle those up and randomly hand one out to each player. And that'll show who's going to be the first and second player for the first round. Then I'm going to show you this to start off. There's going to be 3 different theater cards here. You'll tell them because of the little icon here. This is going to be match with intelligence. This one here is going to match with economics. And this one here is going to match with diplomacy with this little symbol on here. And each of these colors is going to have cards 1 through 6, with the 6 not having an ability, but all the other ones having abilities. So there'll be 18 cards in here. We're going to shuffle these guys up here, and then we're going to deal out 6 cards to each player. Now the remaining cards are going to be set aside. So we'll have 6 cards that you don't know what they are. They'll be set aside and placed right here. These are cards you don't draw unless you have a card that says otherwise. So each player gets their 6 cards here, and we're able to start off a round. Now the goal of this round is going to win 2 of 3 theaters, or get your opponent to withdraw. If your opponent withdraws, you'll also get points. You'll get the most points if you can win 2 or 3 theaters and keep your opponent going till the end. You'll get 6 points. However, if your opponent withdraws, you're going to take a look at your opponent's card, and that's how many points you're going to get. So if the opponent has 5 cards left, you're going to get 2. So the opponent here is the 6th or second player. If they have 3 or 4 cards left, you're going to get 3. If you have 2 cards left, you're going to get 4. If they have 0 or 1, you're going to get 6. Now, if you withdraw, your opponent's going to get these sets of points here. So 4 plus, they're going to get 2, 2 to 3, 3, 1, 4, and 0, 6. Now, everything is to the advantage of the first player. The first player breaks ties, and if one of the theaters happens not to have cards in it, the first player wins that theater also. So with that said, what are you going to do on your turn? Well, there's 3 different things you can do on your turn. You can withdraw. You can place one of these cards out, either with their face upside or face downside. Now let's start with the face downside because that's the simplest. I can place that in any theater I want, and it's worth 2 points towards that theater. So my strength will be 2 if I place this out. Or I could place it with the face upside. Now, if I place it with the face upside, unless a card breaks the rule there, it has to go in the right theater. So if I sort these out, this card will have to go in this theater, this card would have to go in this theater, and this card would go in this theater. Now, a couple things to note on the cards here. This is going to be the strength card. This is the theater it can go in. Also color-coded here. And we also have some cards with abilities. So if we have cards with abilities here, they're going to have 2 different symbols here. We're going to have an infinity symbol, and we're going to have this lightning symbol. So this is an ongoing effect. As long as this card's face up on the battlefield, this effect will occur. So in this example here, on your turn, you may play to a non-matching theater. If you do, your enemy gains 1 supply in that theater. So what that means, what's supply tokens? Well, supply tokens are these little guys right here. And these are going to add strength to a theater. So if I played it did this and I play another card, that opponent will be able to place that token in the theater, and now it has a strength added to that theater. The other ones are going to be these immediate effect ones here. So like this retrofit. Choose one of your uncovered cards in any theater. Now notice that says your. And gain supplies in that theater equal to the chosen card's strength, and flip the card, which is very powerful. Again, supplies are just going to be extra strength into a theater. And if you flip a card, it's going to be this 2 points. Now, these effects here will happen anytime the card is either placed face up or flipped. So later on, if I have an ability that flips that card, this is going to also trigger. Now, a couple things about targeting cards. So sometimes they say uncovered cards, sometimes they say yours, and sometimes they don't say yours. If they don't say yours, you could pick any card you want that's uncovered. An uncovered card doesn't have a card on top of it. If you play another card to the theater, I would actually cover this card, and this would be the uncovered card. This would be covered. So if a card effect says covered, you're going to affect these type of cards. If it says uncovered, you'll get the uncovered one. If the card's by itself, it's considered uncovered. So there's going to be cards that are going to say yours, some of them won't, so that'll be either. Some of them are going to say covered, some of them are going to say uncovered, some of them aren't going to say anything. They'll just say flip. If they do that, that's either covered or uncovered. You could do any card you want. And that's going to be the difference between these lightning bolts and these infinity symbol effects. So immediate and ongoing effects. We're going to play cards. We're going to take turns. On your turn again, you can only pick one of three things. You can withdraw, you can place a card out into the appropriate theater, you could place and resolve its effect, or you could place a card face down. So we'll keep going until one of the players withdraws or all the cards go out. If a player withdraws, you'll refer to these sheets here to see how many points you're going to get. If the game resolves and everyone has their stuff out there, we'll just throw some stuff out, for example. And we'll say this is example. Okay. In this theater, this will be 6-5, so this player will win this theater. In this theater, it would be 10-2, so this player would win the theater. In this theater, it would be 3-10, this player would win the theater. Now, overall, the first player won 2 theaters, where the second player won 1 theater. So the second player is going to get 6 points. And that's if you let it go all the way to the end and no one withdraws. Withdrawing is a very powerful mechanism in this game because you can reduce the amount of points that your opponent will win if you think that they're definitely going to win. Now, if 12 points hasn't got met, which is going to be your goal to win the whole game, you're going to reset the board. And the way you're going to do this is you're going to take the leftmost theater and you're going to move it over to the right. So you're going to shuffle these over. You're going to shuffle this and deal 6 cards to each player, and first player will switch to the other player, and you'll go on. You're going to continue doing this until someone hits 12 points. And at that point, that player is going to be the winner. Now, that's going to be how you play Critters at War, Flies, Lies, and Supplies. Now, you can also mix in the base game, which is going to be this Critters at War. And when you do that, you could do it randomly, you can mix them all and just do whatever theaters randomly put out. You're going to make sure you're going to still have 3 theaters. And you're going to take a look at the cards and make sure you get the cards that match that theater. So you'll get all 6 of the blue if you're going to play with C. Now, another mode that you can do is you could play epic mode. Now, when you're mixing this in normal, again, all the other rules apply. But in epic mode, it's a little different. In epic mode, you'll have 5 theaters out. So you're going to have this massive thing of 5 theaters out. So you're going to be playing with a lot of cards because at this point, instead of the 18, you're going to be playing with 30 cards. And you're also going to be drawing 10 cards instead. And you'll also be using these to determine what you're going to get for if opponent withdraws. So these are a little different numbers on here. to resolve for those points. So I'll be using these epic cards instead of the base game ones. You'll start out the game normally. Well, you'll shuffle this up, and one player is going to get the first player, and one person's going to get the second player. All right, the key main differences in epic mode is you're going to have 10 cards instead of the 6 cards, so you have a lot more cards. And you have to win 3 theaters if the opponent doesn't withdraw instead of 2. So there's a lot more strategy in the epic mode, which is really, really cool. And a lot more interactions and a lot more cards to remember throughout the game. Now, that's the epic mode. There's also, one other thing to remember about the epic mode is they mentioned that you can still go to the 12 victory points, but since this is a longer game, you may want to start off with 6, but that's up to you. There's also a 3 to 4 player variant to the game. I'll let you discover that on your own, but basically what that's going to be is you're going to be back down to these 3 territories here, and you're going to divide up the 6 cards that you got at the start of the game there. So instead of you just having all 6, you're going to deal out 3 cards to each of the players on a team, and that before the game begins, they can not look at each other's card, but they can swap 1 card. So they can hand a card to the opponent, and the other opponent can, or teammate, and the other teammate can hand them a card. You could also do 1 versus 2, so one player will have 6 cards, the other 2 player will have 3. Really nothing much changes. You're going to consider teammates, for all intents and purposes, they're on the same team, they're the same person. So all rules that reply to you also reply to your teammate. So that's going to be the 3 to 4 player team variant. There's a couple little extra rules to that. I'll let you discover that on your own, but that's going to be how you're going to play Flies, Lies, and Supplies, Critters at War. Okay, so that's Flies, Lies, and Supplies. Thank you for watching.